Start, you coward.
I'm waiting for people to really get in on it. I'm gonna pull up a Xbox news thing.
How's the Spelunky tutorial?
Spelunky tutorial?
Yeah, there's a tutorial there. I'm just
Oh,
curious.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do it. Hold on a second.
Nick is all the people I need.
What's the best site? What's the best site for news these days? Keep in mind that you're going to insult at least some of the people we know on the various news sites.
Have you tried videogames.com?
www.videogames.info.
I can just rep my own website that we.
Yeah.
I hear this little site called Experience Points writes about games.
All right, let me show you this Spelunky tutorial.
There's like every game website has a page that's like video games on Triple X. Every video game website has a web page that's just like everything you need to know about the Xbox One.
Yeah,
in one spot.
Yeah,
we're all jumping on the one bandwagon.
This might be your first time playing. Yay! I can hang on ledges. B3 is the
I see.
X
So
button.
it's just text that tells you how to do things.
Yeah, there's no real like interactive portion.
It's kind of lame.
This was made by one guy. Oops.
So you didn't watch the Xbox conference at all, did you?
No. Okay, so we're not doing the Spelunky tutorial anymore. Fine.
Oh, we can. I'm
just kidding. No, I was at work and I wanted to watch it, but I had a client call, and then the client didn't show up. So I wasted my time not, talking about video games or doing my job.
Harsh, dude.
It was pretty harsh.
It's where you send him an angry email. It's like, hey, just so you know,
I missed the most important generational milestone.
the quintessential.
I did.
Like, I have no idea what the next generation holds.
Right. Because I couldn't tell that they were going to, I didn't know if they were going to have 2 analog sticks or not.
Oh, their grips. They got some sweet grips on them. Hey,
So-
what happens if you die in the tutorial?
Well, let's find out.
Do you have to restart? You probably have to restart.
Wait, is this? Oh no, I guess it just throws you into the main game. But anyway, I caught like scraps of it afterwards. I just pulled up a bunch of websites. Some people were live streaming reaction shots to it, and doing the main thing that you do which is like armchair quarterback after someone gets done with the press conference.
Oh yeah. Just so much snark.
Oh yeah. So here's the game. I'll tell you what I think they said.
Okay.
There was they talked about how the Xbox One is your one destination for all entertainment and media that you'll ever need.
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me about.
That's why they cleverly titled it the Xbox One.
Do you think the HTC One, the Android smartphone, do you think they're freaking out a little bit because of this?
Is that called the HTC One?
Well, I guess that's why they should be freaked out.
Well, I don't know what that is.
There was a smartphone called the HTC One, which is like HTC's, flagship Android phone.
Yeah, I mean, this is just all about the mythology of having a one-stop shop, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sort of writing about this right now, but I don't get the mythology behind sort of creating these things that we don't need. Like, were we really begging for a single solution to all our entertainment needs?
Well, I mean,
But
why wouldn't we want it though?
Well, how inconvenienced are we? Because, I mean, if anything, right, like, then, I mean, how is this not just the monopolization in your living room?
Well, I think that's. I mean, first of all, I think we're pretty much edge cases because neither of us have cable.
Yeah, that's true.
And my understanding is that the Xbox One will tie into your cable service.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about actual partners? Like, did they mention Comcast by name or anything?
So they did mention Comcast by name,
Okay.
and it was the first host said
Oh, crap.
that he said he says that he has Comcast,
Uh-huh.
and so that's what he would use.
Uh-huh.
Um,
The host of
so
this
I'm sure.
of this extravaganza, like the guy that was paid to be there. How do I get
Right.
out of
Yeah. The
this?
guy. Oh, you're doomed, dude.
All
Oh, you
right.
just died.
Yeah. The host of of the extravaganza said that he liked Comcast, so it's good that the Xbox has Comcast.
Yeah, I guess so. Did you just? Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You killed yourself and took the bat out with you. I see how it
Yes.
goes. Yeah. So I mean, he said he was using Comcast, but I don't know. It's just kind of silly. I mean, Comcast just got rated by that like ratings board or whatever as like the most hated internet company in the nation.
Yeah, but I mean, when you have a monopoly, you know, fuck them. Like
Well, yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to
But
like you don't have to be a fun-loving company. But like my point is that they mentioned their media partners by name, right? Like they don't.
they mentioned Comcast by name, but
Yeah.
it almost seemed incidental in the way that he framed it. I'm certain it wasn't incidental, but
Yeah. Because for people like us, this isn't much of a value proposition, like you were saying, since it's not like we're going to get cable because of this anyway. But I mean, for a lot of portions of the country, in America anyway, pretty much the only way you can get TV is through cable, because you live in a region where over the air is kind of sketchy, and maybe your town made a deal with one of the bigger providers to have only Comcast or only Time Warner. So it's going to be really
yeah,
key to see like who they actually partner with to do all this.
yeah,
It's also a
yeah.
better version of what the Wii tried to do. Well, the Wii can do. Like the Wii can like rope in your DVR so you can control your TV with your
But
gamepad.
but it's not the Xbox. Like this isn't the first time someone's done that, right? Like there are smart TVs that are connected to your Comcast account now.
Yeah, but the
You know,
smart
you can
TVs
sort
don't
of
have your
do it.
games.
Oh, well, I mean, apparently at this press conference, neither does the Xbox.
God damn, the snark is strong.
The snark is strong with this one.
uh,
But I mean, I don't know.
yes.
To me, it feels like they're creating this idea that is just they're creating this idea as though like we've been waiting so long for this moment
Hmm.
when we haven't. I don't think this is something that we've been chomping at the bit for, right? Like they showed the ability for people who are viewing ESPN to
Hmm.
bring up their fantasy football scores
Hmm.
next to them.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of neat, but I'm like one dude who plays sport or who
Hmm.
plays fantasy football or fantasy sports, and I know
Hmm.
that the nation is full of them, right? There's tons of people who play
Right.
fantasy sports, but at the same time, like it's still a relatively small audience of people who play fantasy sports, have a cable
Oh shit.
subscription, have connected like ESPN Plus or whatever to their Xbox One account, right?
Uh-huh.
And what is? Oh, that's
I'm
weird.
running away from this guy. Oh gosh.
It was like a maniac.
I threw a bomb in his store because I pressed the wrong button. Go on.
um, I don't know. It doesn't feel like how pained am I by just bringing up my fantasy football score or roster on my PC? Like I don't know.
I think that's the big problem that they're still trying to get over. That they were, I mean, the whole dry run for this thing was last year when they were trying to move the smart glass initiative. Like they want this idea of like,
Yep.
obviously people want the second screen because we all are attached to our phones and tablets. Like we can't go a second without being connected, which is fair. Like I understand that, and I would understand why you'd want to capture that, but your software has to be as good or better than my phone or tablet, to really like take advantage of that. Because why would I just, like you were saying, why would I bring up my scores in the TV when I could have my
Right.
laptop or tablet sitting next to me on the couch and have a more fully functional
Yeah.
experience? And so like I see what
Right.
they're trying to get at though. Like people have been trying to do this for a long time,
Yeah.
and people don't want to
I
mess
mean,
with it. Like they don't want to have a second thing. Like people want everything. Wouldn't it be convenient if everything was the same thing?
I mean, I guess so, but that's just like icing on a cake, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I think like what Nick is saying in the chat about like the long game, like seeing if this stuff converges, is where they're trying to go with it. But the type of people who would make use of these features right now, like us, already have their solution set up today.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
we're not
that's-
quite the
yeah,
audience.
that's
for
kind of
this,
my point. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I'm just getting jaded too, but like, I just find it ironic that they're like so much of this conference was spent talking about sports,
Mhm.
yet the whole idea behind Xbox One is to create such a perfect environment in your home that you never have to leave it.
Mm-hmm. well, there's a difference between like digital sports. I mean, most people's interactions with sports are watching them on TV. Like,
Dude, if Microsoft could partner with NASA and start printing out like Domino's pizza, they would.
Wait, what does NASA have to do with Domino's Pizza?
NASA's working has a deal to use 3D printers for food.
Oh, they do?
It was topical. Don't worry about it, Scott.
I know about 3D printers. I just didn't know that NASA was doing it with pizzas.
Yep.
Now I'm interested.
Well, I don't know about pizzas.
I can
mean,
3D
more
print
like,
guns and pizzas. That's all I need.
it's more like a protein mash, is my guess.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's not that compelling to you, and to be honest, that was like for me, that was going to be like one of the more boring parts because I already have my solutions. But
Yeah.
what did they? I didn't read too much about this already, but did they hit the streaming angle as hard as Sony hit it?
They did not, no. And in fact, so I really expected them announcing that they had a partnership with Twitch.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't announce that. They actually didn't say the word streaming at all. And I know because I was playing Microsoft Conference Bingo.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's especially from what Sony did. Like, the button on the controller. They, announced. God, what was it? Was it Ustream or Justin TV? It wasn't Twitch, but it was
It's
one of the
Ustream.
other two.
Ustream.
Okay, so like they
Yeah.
totally announced Ustream, a recognizable player in the streaming market, and so Microsoft didn't say word one about any of that type of integration.
Well, they did say that it has the power to record what you do locally
Uh-huh.
and have some in-app editing on your gameplay videos.
All right.
But I thought it was kind of strange that they would mention that and not streaming because clearly they go hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
So my guess is they're probably just waiting on something.
Well, I mean, I imagine they
I
would.
saw that coming from a mile away. How did you not get out of the way of that?
I have mapped my buttons weirdly, and I'm not sure how to remap them.
Blame the hardware, buddy. Blame the
Well, B
hardware.
is for bombs, clearly. Y is for... Where did I put my ropes? God damn it. What did I do with my ropes?
Yeah, so anyway, they didn't mention streaming at all.
Mm-hmm. That's really disappointing to me, because I feel like, well, obviously, we're kind of biased since what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But, I just have a hard time... I feel like that could be a play on them just trying to keep it proprietary.
I guess so. I don't know. It just... Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. And I'm sure they do have a deal, because it doesn't make sense not to.
Mm-hmm.
But, there are a lot of things that they didn't mention at the press conference that is like... To me, in my mind, was obvious, right? They didn't mention a streaming partner. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have something locked in already, then they're just falling behind.
Right.
And if they didn't mention always online, like so basically, there's all these elephants in the room about what they should talk about, right? We all know what we have in terms of expectations regarding the next console,
Yeah.
and by not talking about any of it, it just made it more on sort of like obvious and strange, right? And the fact that they didn't talk about those things, but then pressed all of these other concepts of your TV, it's all about your TV, it's all about the way you view entertainment now.
Yeah.
It felt like they were just trying to say, hey, look, we want to create... What it seems as though it's like they know and we know that what we want is not what they were serving at this conference. So they did their very best to create the illusion or the mythology that they were selling something we absolutely needed, when that need just doesn't exist. It's not a need. It'd be nice, sure, why not? But it's not something that we're chomping at the bit to get, right? And Sony did the same thing, but they just did it with poly counts.
Well, but I mean, at least the poly counts have a practical angle to it. Like, great, David Cage will have more stuff to make weird games with,
Yeah, but it's... And I guess it's just the sort of the way that advertising works and has always worked, which is nub. Which is, they create this idea that we want things that we don't necessarily want. And I get it. Like, it'd be nice to get things that are a little shinier graphics, but it's not a need. It's not that big of a deal. Like at the Sony press conference, was it David Cage? Who was talking about
David Cage talked
facial,
a lot about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about how, finally, he can make emotions on faces. And it's like, buddy, that's not your problem when it comes to evoking emotion. And then at this press conference, they spent a bunch on talking about Call of Duty's mocap dog.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite thing that I read about. I want more
It was
mocap
brilliant,
dogs.
And again, it's like there was a great like Twitter reaction that was like Call of Duty brings dogs to Call of Duty, or Activision brings dogs to Call of Duty before they bring women to the series. It's like,
Oh
okay,
man.
there's a lot of things we want, but this isn't necessarily one of them. We're not chomping at the bit to finally get this mocat dog. And they just lather it with all of these words of like, oh, this is something that's so cool. Like the developers were at home thinking about the possibility of video games, and someone told them, hey, guess what? There's a SEALs, Navy SEALs canine unit here, and we could put fucking stickers on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I took from it in terms of like seeing it afterwards and seeing all the analysis of it. Like the big Call of Duty, like that was the big game or whatever that they were pushing. Was there anything else that I would have been remotely interested in terms of games?
Are you into Forza?
I am not into Forza, but I do like poly counts.
No, I mean everything was pre-rendered.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was it, or did they make a
Nick
big deal
asks,
of like,
Oh no, it was like all pre-rendered.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know if someone listening knows. I think it was all pre-rendered.
Yeah.
Nick asks how these reveals compared to last gen, and I think it's an interesting question because part of it is I don't really remember.
I was just gonna say, like,
ago.
do I know what the last gen? Yeah.
I remember being excited by the last gen announcement, but I'm wondering if I was just buying into a sort of illusion and it's sort of always been this way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
or not, right?
Yeah, launches are always bad. Like, there's never any good games for a launch. Maybe like the Nintendo Entertainment System being an exception, but like,
yeah, we played some of the launch titles today on Twitch. Not here, but my work at Wikia, and it was like Condemned, Criminal Origins, Gun, Amped, which is like a shitty snowboarding game. Like,
Gun was pretty good, but Gun was a straddle the line game. Like Gun was both a 360 and an Xbox game.
Right. I mean, it always takes people's footing, to get used to the new system anyway, right? Like you're always going to have a better game once the developers are used to the tools that they're working with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just sort of feels like compared to the last gen and compared to the last gen release, like what is it that we want? And I guess I'm just not entirely convinced that we know what we want.
Well, there's also diminishing returns. Like it's way easier to be impressed by like the Xbox 360 or even remember like the old PS2 tech demo where there was like a million ducks like it's like, oh man, how crazy, there's so many things on the screen, where now it's
so many ducks.
Yeah, it's like diminishing returns. Like that's not as that's not as impressive as it once was. And like you can see the new Activision face tech or something, you just you just, it's harder to be impressed when things get more incremental.
Yeah. It's also harder, I think, to show what is cool, right? Like it's harder to actually show the AI at work. Mm-hmm. And at one point during the conference, they mentioned, our AI can make 4 times as many computations in the same amount of time, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of a big deal. And we could potentially get much better AI, and there's still a lot of room to grow for AI.
Yeah. Hard to demo that.
That being said, right, it's very hard to demo that. And I don't know, I'm not entirely convinced that when people complain about like, oh, what was shown at this conference, if we even know what we really wanted to see.
Mm. Well, and the other thing is like, it's getting progressively weirder about what is a technical limitation versus like what is a technique limitation. Like I still think the Halo 1 AI is like some of the best stuff that I've ever seen, and like that's how many years old now, and so it's hard to make a compelling technical case for that sort of thing.
Yeah. This is the dark level, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to kill that spider with a well-placed bomb, but now I'm just in real trouble here. Oh gosh.
How many times can you get hit? Oh, dude, you're in pitch blackness.
Yeah, it went all bad.
Amateurs.
Yeah, I mean, just to wrap up the thought about like comparing it to the last gen, and again, like the thing that I don't remember about the PS3 launch, the other thing to think about for the last gen is that think of how much the Wii overshadowed what the other systems were doing during the last gen.
Yep.
Like just nationwide, like the Wii was the conversation, like people's parents were buying Wiis. Remember that? I don't, maybe this is a weird thing to remember, but like when the Wii came out, there was that like initial spate of YouTube videos where people were like playing the Wii together, like as if they were playing like doubles tennis.
Yeah.
And they were like
Yeah.
standing in the room playing it, and it's like, just a bunch of bros like in a frat house playing it, just showing you like how to play this weird thing. And it's like, we don't have anything like that this time around. Like, nothing's really dominating the conversation that's that unique. So we're falling back on, older, sitting down with a controller, talking about what the next poly count is, what the next Call of Duty looks like. There's nothing that's like changing the paradigm of what people are expecting from a video game system.
Yeah. I kind of like what Nintendo's doing now, actually. It kind of makes more sense, the way that they're sort of just bowing out of E3 and bowing out of the hype cycle.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it almost seems like they somewhat know that, you know what, no one can really satisfy. I don't think we can really be satified anymore.
Yeah.
We are insatiable for what we want now.
Well,
So
also
one is just
Nintendo
to
has
sit down
botched
and
the
play
Wii
some-
launch so badly. I mean, like, Wonderful 101 hasn't come out yet. Pikmin 3 hasn't come out yet. We saw those games literally a year ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
mean,
they should
yeah.
hide.
Yeah. But I mean, they're showing things now, right? Like they have their Nintendo Direct series, so like they just showed some Pikmin stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're gonna show Super Smash Brothers probably on the Sunday before E3.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it just right now we barely know what. Do we even know what the PS4 looks like? Did you watch that teaser trailer they released?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of weird, like, jagged angles and stuff. Like,
Yeah, the only long shot is like really fuzzy and weird. It's so bizarre.
well, I think it's weird that people get up in arms about that, because it doesn't really matter. Except, actually, I take that back. It matters for the Xbox, because how soon
You mean
we
what the
forget.
Xbox looks like?
Well, it matters how the industrial design of the Xbox matters, because what happened last time is that Microsoft knowingly put out a broken piece of hardware, knowing that they would probably still come out ahead, because they're gonna have this many broken units. They knew that the heat was an issue. They knew that the hardware failing was an issue, but they rushed it out anyway. And so, like, it does kind of matter what their hardware looks like, because I saw a shit ton of vents on that thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've seen the inside. Wired did an exclusive.
That
look
Wired
at the
article
console.
was
So
really
there's
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just one big ass fan in there.
Yeah. But I mean, like, to me anyway, and the people who know, like, Microsoft needs to, I cannot imagine they're going to have like another Red Ring situation on their hands, because, like, that cost them a lot of money. And
if you notice, there's no rings on this box. I didn't see any lights. Like, no joke. I don't think I saw any external lights.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing about it is that, like, to me, the Xbox hardware is kind of interesting because it was so botched the first time around. Like, I don't really care what the PlayStation looks like, because they didn't have that sort of basic hardware problem last time out of the gate.
Right.
That being said, I think it looks pretty ugly, actually.
Oh yeah, it looks like an air conditioner.
Yeah, it's very boxy.
So
it's
big.
not very sleek. Like, it reminds me a
Which is
lot
hilarious,
of the
by the
original
way, 'cause-
Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Where like all of those jokes about how massive it was.
Yeah. But I mean, if that is the price you pay for like a well ventilated system where things aren't jammed together and you won't have a lot of hardware failures, like, that's a fine price,
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because to me it reminds me of a PC, and I just start to wonder why I bother with this Xbox in the first place.
Right.
Like, PCs are relatively easy to build and create now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other set-top boxes I could use for television functionality in much the same way that the Xbox has.
Yep.
We're streaming something right now with a completely free service, and it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, things could be easier, and it's nice to have the ease of use in one thing, but I think it's becoming increasingly hard to justify a high cost for a console, especially. Like, I don't see why anybody would be interested in buying this Xbox if it were being charged for, like, more than $300, $400.
They didn't say anything about price, did they?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, okay. I thought I read all that stuff, but I wanted to make sure no one accidentally slipped something out.
Yeah, no, they didn't say anything.
Did they say
they
anything
didn't
about a
even say-
potential subscription?
No, they did not. You mean like Xbox Live Gold or whatever?
No, I mean, like, the cable companies subsidizing people's Xboxes.
Oh. They didn't say anything about the release date either, actually. They just said later this year,
Well, yeah, I mean,
which is delightfully vague.
Well, I mean, everyone's going to put it out, November 10th or whatever, They need it out for the North American holiday season. But I mean, I think going back to your point of like, who is this for? Why do you need it? Like, these are for the people that, unlike us, like, these systems are going to be more locked down than ever before. Like, the other big news was that, like, hey, you have to install the games to the hard drive, or you can at least install them to the hard drive. And if you want to play a used game, you pay a fee or whatever to activate that disc again.
Yep.
And at that
point,
point,
no more borrowing games.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can borrow games, but it'll cost you $5 or whatever, And at that point, it's like, it just gets more and more restrictive. Like, if you're gonna have a restrictive system, you might as well have something like Steam, where like the prices are at least gonna be what people are more willing to pay.
Yeah, there was also a Kotaku article saying that, while they first said, actually they still say that it's not always online. Mm-hmm. You do have to connect regularly.
Right.
Which is to them, as this guy said in the article, some Harrison fellow, I don't remember what role he had at Microsoft, but you have to be online and connected at least once a day. So once every 24 hours, you have to like check in.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how Adobe does its things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right. I think that's a good point. It's functionally like you have to have a consistent internet connection at least once a day or once every 24-hour cycle or whatever they set it at. It's not as much of a big deal as something like trying to play laptop games on Steam is, I feel like, because if you forget to put it in offline mode, then you can't make a connection, and it doesn't have that authentication. So it's like you're never going to be carting around your entire console to your friend's house, so it's really just going to sit there on your shelf the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. If you can't bring your disc over to your friend's house, maybe you should just cart your whole system over.
Well, I mean, you could. I mean, it's tied to it's set to your account, so you could bring it over to your friend's house, install it on the hard drive after how long the download and installation time is, right? Then bring over your Xbox Live account, sign into that, and then be allowed to play it. That's a pretty big barrier to entry, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, how do they currently handle multi-accounts? What happens if you sign in on someone else's Xbox? Does it mess with your profile at all? I can't remember.
No, you're just importing your Xbox Live profile.
Okay.
Which is functionally the same thing, what they're suggesting, but now the games are tied to that profile in much the same way they're tied to, like, your Steam profile.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, they did say it's finished downloading.
What'd you say?
Next points out that you can play before it's finished downloading, which is nice.
That is, I mean...
But I mean, it's nice because that's our option now. I mean...
Well, and they're definitely like,
to download it.
Right, and you're going to have to allow that because, especially in America, people's download speeds and probably the rate of transfer on that Blu-ray drive is not going to be up to people's expectations.
Yeah,
it was very much similar to what like Mark Cerny was saying at Sony's press conference of like, oh, you can start streaming something and start playing it while it's downloading. Like, this whole idea of instant is a selling point for both consoles. The whole like not a lot of games thing was somewhat weird. I know we're really close to E3 and everything, but it was just really nice having someone like Mark Cerny at the Sony press conference because that guy is a game maker,
Yeah.
It's like that's Marble Madness,
Yeah.
I know, but not.
I mean, David Cage is too, right?
Well, still, that's fine. But like the idea that there's some at least heritage to it, it's not just Call of Duty. It's like I don't know. It just seems like how they tried to steer that ship was a little bit more elegant in the way. Not elegant in terms of like getting to the point, since it was like 3 hours or whatever, and Microsoft's was 1 hour. But yeah.
You suck.
Gosh.
That's how you die. I'm compelled to insult you.
I'm gonna cheat straight to this area. Let's see. Anything else that I missed? I feel like it's weird. I feel like I didn't watch most of the press conference, yet I still have like some of the more interesting things about it.
Well, I mean, it's because not much happened, right? Like, they brought a bunch of people on to talk about TV.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I think that, Nick in Twitch chat is basically speaking to the same thing. Is like the audience that Microsoft was speaking to was not the same audience that Sony was speaking to, right?
Yeah.
But for this type of press conference, it's the core audience we're watching. Like, the people who are interested in, like, oh, I watch a lot of sports, and I only play one game a year, and that's FIFA.
Yeah.
We're probably not at work watching the Microsoft press conference live as it happens.
Probably true.
And I get the sense that, kind of like what we were saying earlier in terms of them playing the long game, is they're sort of just trying to shape the rhetoric around their system now to create a sort of perceived need for the things that they're pushing.
I was talking to some people at work when they walked by my desk and they're like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "There's a new Xbox." And one of the people, she was like, "Yeah, my husband has been chatting me all morning about this new Xbox. He's saying we should buy it for our parents. Everyone should get one. We can all talk to each other." And so they're like, that guy, her husband was like, "Yeah, we should buy it for the parents because they can connect their cable box to it. They can watch TV, and we could use like the camera or whatever." So like that type of hype for people that are trying to make the case, I feel like is an interesting thing. She was not convinced whatsoever.
I think it's I think it's telling that that article we were talking about was a Wired article too. Like they didn't pick IGN, they didn't pick Eurogamer, they didn't pick Machinima to do their sort of exclusive coverage. They picked a magazine that has a wide audience, a tech-savvy audience, an audience that watches a lot of entertainment. To sell the system to them. I don't know, and I guess people who are into video games felt a little cheated, or felt like betrayed, or felt like they weren't being represented at the conference, which is strange to them. But partially it's because Microsoft knows, well, people are going to buy it anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, especially if Sony makes a better and more compelling argument for why you would buy their service.
Right. Well, and also like, especially without knowing what the price structure is going to be like, what's going to be locked behind a paywall, what's going to be, part of the system. Like, I don't know. At this point, Sony is feeling much more like the evil versus the evil you don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Nick is right. He points out in chat too that like the things that they showcased have huge followings, right? Yeah. FIFA, Call of Duty, like they showed Messi, right? This like soccer player Messi, who's incredibly famous. It's a big name.
Yeah.
Right. So like they're latching on to that gaming angle, but it's, I don't know, it's just not. Like, for example, when they announced that Call of Duty Ghosts would be an exclusive, there was like a cheer from the audience.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how many months?
For how long? But either way, the point being is, why are we cheering exclusives? Like, this isn't the day and age where we cheer exclusives anymore.
Yeah.
Like, why should people love video games? Why should we be happy that a section of the audience for any game aren't going to be able to play a game for a set period of time?
Yeah.
I mean, given that people were cheering inside the conference weren't press, I guess Microsoft had a room full of their own.
Well, I mean, it was at Redmond. Like, I mean, that's like
of course,
the deepest, darkest heart of Microsoft territory.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny when people were like shooting their like videos outside all the press outlets, because there's just a bunch of like kind of portly old white dudes walking around the Redmond campus, and it's like Microsoft.
Yeah, seriously.
The other reaction I had from work, again, another woman's boyfriend was chatting her during this whole thing because he was watching it at work, and he was like, "Oh, we should buy this," and she asked me, she's like, "Aren't there like already a lot of Xboxes?"
You're like, at least 3.
And I was like, "Good point. There are a lot of Xboxes, and I'm not sure why you should buy this right away."
Yeah.
Oh. Was there really nothing besides Call of Duty and Forza and FIFA? Was Cliff there?
Yeah, there was a game called Quantic Break.
Okay.
Which is from Remedy, the guys who do Alan Wake.
Yep.
And time travel shooter, Quantum Break.
Yeah.
But it was like pre-rendered footage, right? Like I don't really know what I'm supposed to learn from it.
Right.
It reminded me a little bit of Watch Dogs, actually, in the sort of graphical styling. But I don't know. That might be cool, but who knows, right? And I don't know. That's the thing too, right? Like FIFA and Call of Duty, they show us, but are we that excited? I don't know.
Well,
Steven Spielberg. Oh, that's one. Steven Spielberg is making a television series, a Halo live-action television series.
I heard that. Is it?
Or I don't actually know if he's directed. He might just be like a producer or something.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg produces a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't talk about this one thing. I know we're running a little long here, but we didn't talk about the Connect. Connect bundled in. Connect
Run,
is
you
the
coward.
thing. You know.
I mean, it's not. It's like bundled in a sense. It's still connected like to the Xbox. It's not one thing.
No, yeah, you're right. I meant just like bundled in to the package. Like you're not going to buy an Xbox without a Connect anymore.
Yeah, they didn't, but they didn't explicitly talk about that. I don't recall.
Seems like
They
that'd be
did
a
have
bigger
the,
deal
like,
if they want to like integrate people's media lives, video chat,
I mean,
all that stuff.
it was presented in a sort of like there was like a triptych of smart glass,
Right.
Connect, and the console.
Right.
I
Did
mean,
they say
I guess
anything
that's
about
the
how
holy
they've
trifecta.
improved Connect? Did they? I didn't read anything. Like they seem to be pretty mum about like.
Yeah, they did actually. There was some like tech footage of like it looked like those body scanners at
Oh
the
yeah.
airport.
Millions of points of articulation.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, there's so many more joints now.
Yeah.
And sort of like the stick figure with like, I don't know, 8 joints.
Yeah.
Probably more joints than my actual body has. But,
I mean, I think that's somewhat interesting that now, the
Oh yeah,
the cool.
they said it could read your heart rate. It's basically Skynet.
That's pretty creepy.
What they're building.
Well, I mean, the thing that the coolest thing about Connect, the coolest, feature that Connect has always had for me anyway, has been the voice stuff. Like it never worked very well, but like, with smart apps like Google Now and Siri and all those, like even though they're not perfect, like they really show you like how good that stuff can be.
Yeah.
And like I never set an alarm on my phone anymore. I just tell my phone to set an alarm.
You just say, Siri, wake me up at 7.
Yeah. Like
While we were watching the conference, the guy would be like, Xbox, home, or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Xbox we were watching it on would react to his voice.
Yeah. And I mean
Super
that stuff
creepy.
is like really in its pretty nascent stages, right? And it doesn't always work, and it needs to be a little bit better, and like, but I mean it's that sort of stuff that I think makes a bigger difference, in terms of usability. Like who cares about all the motion control games,
Yeah, but again, like, so what is the perceived need here? Like, using the remote was just too much for us to handle, or?
I mean, we don't really need half the. Oh, damn it! We don't really need half the crap that we have. Like, no one really.
Right, but then
needs
don't market it as like a need, as though like you finally did it. You know what I mean? That's what it's marketed as. Like, oh, we finally did it. You can tell your voice, Xbox, show me MTV, and now I can not decide what I want to watch because my Xbox will decide what to watch for me. Like
I have a bit more sympathy because I'm starting to talk to more and more people who are like, I need to be carrying a kid while I do these things.
I guess, yeah, I get that.
Like I mean, just like lifestyles are weirder these days, and like like our TV is in a really common area, so like we'll use it when we're cooking or something, and it's like you can't really grab the remote when your like hands are full of like flour or something.
I mean, I hate to use these words, but like, so what? Is that a system seller? Like, is that really gonna do it for you? Like these are small improvements to existing technology, and Microsoft isn't the only ones doing it, right? Like TVs, there's tons of other things that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many young mothers do you know, Scott?
Hey,
Probably a lot,
actually, yeah. Like my workplace, like I am older than most of the people at my workplace, and I'm not 30, so like it's real weird my day-to-day life. But like, I mean, again, this is like betting on what people are going to want in the future. But I mean, George, I think your point is well taken.
Yeah, it's not just that it's what people want in the future. I think Microsoft is, and everyone does this, right? But particularly apparent to me this year is that they're creating what we're going to want.
Right, they're trying to generate a need where something didn't necessarily
Yeah, and I don't think
exist.
it's ever been more. I don't think it's ever been more clear than this press conference. That's their active process,
Right.
And they're doing it, like we said, for like the sort of long imaginary game where in the end they're doing what Netflix does. They produce their own Xbox exclusive television shows for you to watch on your Xbox and everything else. They're trying to make that claim of the market. And I don't think it's something we necessarily need.
Yeah.
And realistically, I kind of want more competition for my entertainment living room space.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I don't want Microsoft to be my one and only thing.
Yeah. Well, that's because we're hippies and like we complain about like corporate monopolies all day and stuff. I mean, probably the average person doesn't care, but I think you bring up a good point where like, why would you like the upgrade path is not necessarily clear. Like, why would you even want this if you know the next Call of Duty is going to be a cross-platform thing? Like, why is there any reason for people to upgrade now versus like 2 or 3 years from now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So if you had to make a choice right now, oh crap! If you had to make a choice,
Xbox or something.
yeah, well, no, Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo Wii, or just fuck it, go full PC from here on out. What would you do?
Oh, you should have given me that full PC option.
But I mean, there are certain things that you'll never play. Like, you'll never play The Last Guardian. You'll never play another Halo. Like, you know.
If The Last Guardian came out today, I would gladly do Sony. I mean, I think that I'll probably side with everybody, right? Like, I don't want to. It's weird because I don't want to create this illusion of like, oh, Sony won and Microsoft lost.
Yeah.
Because that creates the idea.
That's what they're trying to create too.
These are functionally the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're the same product.
Yeah.
But like everybody else, I would go for Sony. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's weird. It's very. I mean, the whole like gamer focused thing like is much more powerful than I thought it would be. Like, coming out of this, like, I thought Microsoft would. They must have had this planned all along, and they didn't want to pivot. But like, just Sony hit the game so hard, you know.
Yeah. Well, and it's so weird because I think there was a lot of hype for Microsoft ahead of time, thinking, oh, they're really going to knock them out of the water. They already saw what Sony did. Like, they'll be able to respond in kind.
Yeah.
They've got all these, because all they have to do is do what Sony did, but better.
Yeah.
How hard could that be?
Yeah.
And then people saw this and were like, whoa, look, what happened? That was not what I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing too is what you mentioned at the very beginning, but it's just the constant wait for E3, guys, wait for E3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we'll have games playable and we'll have X, Y, and Z, but that sort of reassurance can only last so long, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, we talked about this already, but the launch is gonna be bad. Launches are always bad. Like Dragon's Lair or not Dragon's Lair. What was it called? What was the Dragon game for the PS3 that you used the motion control to use?
Oh, was that the that was the oh god, what was that called?
Yeah, it was really dumb. Or like, Perfect Dark Zero.
The Dragon game were like, yeah. Oh, Lair, there it is.
Yeah, Dragon's Lair. Thanks, Nick.
I was thinking Dragon's Dogma, probably.
What, like
There's so many Dragon games.
Perfect Dark Zero, sure, it wasn't terrible, but it's like, there was really no extremely great, the conventional wisdom is that like Gears of War was like one of the first games that was like, oh wow, this is why we bought an Xbox 360,
Yep.
Not just for a 720p version of Gun.
I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before, but Sony sort of has marketed themselves as like a home for potential indie developers as well.
Yeah.
So
there's no Jonathan Blow.
It's a huge selling for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Jonathan Blow. There's not even a David Cage.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who could really speak to that. I mean, one of my coworkers is super into racing games, so he saw Forza and was just, he was really stoked by it, I guess. But
sold. All right.
I mean, realistically, I'll probably end up buying both at some point, right?
Some point. I mean, this generation more than any other, I feel like, is a test case for how long people are willing to wait. And people were slow to adopt to the last generation. Like, barring the Wii, like, things didn't necessarily take off right out of the gate, especially when it comes to Sony, because they were so crazy about their price point.
Mm-hmm.
And if people can get their Call of Duties, Maddens, FIFAs on the current generation of systems, which of course is going to happen for at least the first 2 years, then, wait till they knock it down a little bit. Wait till they can get one of those like subsidized price ones that people are, rumoring they're going to do. Like, that's kind of how I would feel about it.
Yeah. How much do you think it'll sell for?
I don't know. They can't do more than like they can't do more than 400. Because at that point, you're like going into like iPhone, iPad territory, and that's why I think they'll do some type of subsidy. Like if you buy, and they've already started this with the original Xbox. There's like a subsidized version if you can get the system for like $150 or $200 if you buy Xbox Live, X amount of Xbox Live up front.
Yeah.
I think they're going to experiment with that stuff because like they're going to have to subsidize these machines because like they're still super expensive to make. Like, silicon doesn't come cheap, right? But you know, they can't pull a fucking $600 PS3 boneheaded maneuver. You know, like
Yeah.
people just
Yeah.
laugh at them.
It's interesting that you mentioned that too in relation to like potential deals that they'll have with like Comcast and things like that.
Yeah.
Because if anything, I want less of an excuse to get cable. I'm never, I'm not going to get cable again.
Right. Yeah. I'm never gonna have cable again, like in my entire life, like for sure. And so we're
What's
gonna.
this ice level going on?
Yeah. This is the third level. There's one more after this. Well, there's sets
Is
of
it a hell
threes.
level? Is it like lava?
Basically. It's a video game.
Called it.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well on this. Playing and
Maybe
talking
you'll beat it.
harder than you might expect. Oh, crap. Extremely harder.
Yeah, I don't really like ice levels. Oh, you suck.
I was trying to grab that bottom one because I was making a blind jump.
Grab the ledge.
Yeah. Well, is that it for our stream? End on that.
That's it. We got not exactly enlightening. I don't know. It's weird because I'm not that into snark.
No.
I
Well,
like
I mean,
to be
I just like having. I just needed someone to fill me in on what happened because I missed most of it.
I didn't expect to be sold stuff. It just felt like I was being sold stuff.
Well, I
They were
mean,
like snake oil salesmen,
I mean that's what these things are kind of for, you know. I mean, they're to
I guess so.
whip up the bass, you know.
Whip it up.
Whip it up. All right, should I do one of my classic only running runs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready? Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh gosh, already off to a bad start.
You're not running.
No, I'm running.
Go, run.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, God.
I have to hold down the run button. That's the rule.
Speed run. Speed run.
Whoa. Oh gosh.
Where's my speed
I'm gonna
run
grab this.
technology?
Oh no. Oh no. God damn
What
it.
did you grab? Oh, dude, you're so... Oh, you're so doomed. Right here. Oh!
All right. 2 levels.
What are we going to play next time to have a little chat?
I like playing Binding of Isaac a lot when I'm talking about video games. It's kind of one of those other... Oh, gosh. It's kind of one of those other, like you can play and like... yeah. I wish I had Dark Souls on my PC, but I only have it on the PS3, and that's a whole headache to like connect to my computer.
Yeah. Well, until PS4 comes around, hit that stream button.
Honestly, though, that's like the most exciting thing for me for the next consoles. Like, people talk about like technology and like what we're gonna do with like the new hardware, but like it's the ecosystems and it's the software that is really exciting. Like people are now getting to the point where they realize that what you do with the games socially is just as exciting as what you can do with them. Like from the days of the million duck demo are over. Like we need a million person demo, like showing that everyone can be connected. Like
yeah, you're gonna push that button and it's just gonna shoot fucking rainbows out of it like a fire hose.
Holy crap! I didn't know you could walk on the Spelunky. I didn't know this was diegetic.
Can you blow it up?
That's just... Oh, I don't have any bombs on the menu screen.
What does that left area go to?
Oh, the shortcut area.
Oh, to where you just died?
No, well, it's not... You have to unlock the shortcuts by paying
I see.
him. Yeah, and so this is... Yeah. Alright. I'm calling it.
Alright, good chat.
Good chat. This will... For those people who missed the stream, I'll put this up on YouTube, and...
YouTube.
Yeah, well, and we definitely should. Actually, like, if people are interested in other games, just make some suggestions. We'll try to sort it out to make sure we can either get at least a good local copy going or a good streamable resolution, because it gets kind of dicey if you have a super complex game, but I am interested to hear what people want to see, because,
yeah.
I'm always up for doing dumb stuff on camera.
Yeah, I want to play some League of Legends at some point, just because I played so much.
Oh,
Like, I might as
yes,
well
yes. We should do that.
show
And then
people.
I can spectate, and it'll be even easier to set up the actual streaming because we'll both be in client.
Yeah.
And then I can just ask stupid questions.
I realize I'm slowly becoming like an expert on that game. It terrifies me.
Yeah. I mean, you just by accident, too. Like, you just play it so much that, you internalize it.
I'm addicted. Someone call Oprah or Dr. Phil.
All right,
All
everyone.
right.
Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you tomorrow. New podcast.
Yep. Ooh.
All right.
Bye.